take the microphone. Let's remember back to February 2020. I was a supporter of the 2017 tax cut bill. I believed it would work, and I think it did work. If you recall February 2020, we were hearing about this strange virus from Wuhan, China, a place we really didn't exactly know what part of China it was from, but the economy was roaring in the United States of America in February of 2020. In my view, President Trump, through his regulations, has eased job creators. Through our tax cut bill, we had eased the tax burden on job creators. So if you were out there trying to make a buck and hopefully going to employ some other folks, we eased the tax burden on that type of person. And of course, then 95% of every person who paid income tax in the United States of America got a tax cut through that 2017 tax bill. And our economy was roaring. Back when I was in Econ 101 at Ole Miss, they told me 4% unemployment is as low as unemployment can get. That was the rule for years and years, except that in February of 2020, unemployment was 3.5%, 3.4%. This economy was running like a sewing machine. We were creating jobs. Minority unemployment was way down. Female unemployment was way down. Veterans unemployment was way down, and we were cooking. And then came the shell shock. Then, as Faye mentioned, of COVID-19, and it came upon us suddenly, and we were forced, as a nation, as a Republican Senate and a Democratic House and a Republican administration, to come to grips with this. And it really was an example of bipartisanship. And it really worked. It was almost like we were at war. It was almost like, although not as cataclysmic, it was almost like 9/11, 2001, when we put aside our party differences and came together. And I was fortunate to be chairman of the Commerce Committee at that point, and I was fortunate to get a chance at a great experience. Mitch McConnell, our Republican leader, majority leader in the U.S. Senate, asked Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania, Mike Crapo of Idaho, and me to work with the administration and work with our Democratic colleagues in coming up with what would become the CARES Act. And to me, it was bipartisanship at its best. And I think Nick Callio is in the room here. Yeah, there you are. Nick, did we talk 7 days a week or just 5 days a week? Okay, yeah, and sometimes several times a day. And also with again, I'm blessed, very blessed with a great staff who knows this issue back and forth. But we came together and we got it done. And as you recall, passed the Senate unanimously. Just we all blessed it. And I recall Secretary Mnuchin. I don't know how well any of you know Secretary of the Treasury Mnuchin, but he was he's not a big spender, and the administration was not full of big spenders, but they made it clear that we were going to have to be talking not with the B word, but the T word in terms of what this amounted to. So out of that came the CARES Act, which contained the payroll support program. It saved thousands of aviation jobs, prevented loss of air service to millions of Americans, and helped us prevent a collapse in our commercial air industry and a collapse in the economy. We voted on that bill, and then, I don't know if you recall, the Congress sent us home. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, they sent the House and Senate home. And I remember walking into Reagan National Airport the day that I finally got turned loose on that, I guess the morning after the vote. And it was quiet as a tomb. Reagan National Airport was spooky that day. People were not flying. They were staying home. They didn't know what to expect. And we were in a grave situation with our economy. And emblematic of that was the fact there was just hardly anybody at Reagan National Airport. And it was the same way at Atlanta and the same way at Nashville, which is two airports I connect through to then take Contour and head on home to Tupelo. We put $25 billion in the PSP in the CARES Act. And if I told you it was perfect and it worked perfectly, that's something we did, and with that haste, was absolutely 100% what we needed to do, I would not be telling you the truth. But it did, I think, save us. Second round came with the Consolidated Appropriation Act of fiscal year 2021. That was, as compared to the 25 billion, it was 15 billion. And as many of you know, we had a little debate and a little difference after the first of the year, around March of this year, as to whether we needed another insertion of rescue money. But in that bill, which I did not vote for, I'm glad that 14 billion was added again for PSP. I think it provided a lifeline, and we couldn't have done it without the advice and partnership of you all. And I understand, I guess things are better. Hope y'all can report to me that things are, hope to see a surge even more, but I know you're still dealing with getting past the pandemic. But the worst part, I think, is over. It won't nearly be as bad from here on. But you've had to learn how to clean your aircraft and distance measuring, and we learned it's a little more of a challenge for your flight attendants and your captains and first officers to maintain discipline on the airlines, and we are watching that. One suggestion, you tell me if I'm wrong. I'm told because they don't serve alcohol on coach now, a number of passengers are just going to the airport bar and getting hammered before they get on the plane. So maybe that's something that we can work on. Going forward, I can tell you that those of us who voted for the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which included me and 18 other Republican senators, we very much are interested in keeping small communities in business, and we think part of that is a program that I've supported since I was in the House of Representatives, and that's the Contract Tower program. It provides important safety services to communities that would not otherwise have the benefit of the federal air traffic tower service. I can tell you, and you probably already know this, $300 million is in the bipartisan infrastructure bill for improvements to air traffic control towers in the Contract Tower program. That has not yet been passed. And perhaps this week or the next, we will see if it will be. But Contract Tower facilities recognize the important role that these smaller airports play in the national airspace system, and I'm pleased to work on that. I mentioned I'm a supporter of essential air service. I tell you, it's a fight we have every now and then, and sometimes it's a close vote. But so far, we've been able to have a bipartisan majority to continue the EAS program. We have 4 airports in Mississippi that really would not be able to function, including my hometown airport, Tupelo Regional Airport, without EAS. So we will continue to try to protect that program as we go forward. I know training, job finding workers is a problem for y'all, and I want to do what I can, much as we're trying to do at Delta State University, to provide you with more pilots. And we now have a community college, Northwest Mississippi Community College, that is trying to send 2-year students over to Delta State to do that. So, listen, I'm glad to have you. I couldn't do without you. I mean, my travel life would be different if it weren't for the regionals. I would say, if you're interested in the politics of the Congress, this is a week to be in Washington and to pay attention. I have no idea what we'll see out of the House of Representatives by the end of the week. I know that Speaker Pelosi, who is a friend of mine, but who is far on the other left end of the spectrum from me, she said she would bring the bipartisan infrastructure bill, about $1.1 trillion, airports, ports, roads, bridges, broadband, to a vote today. We now know that she also said, well, I don't bring bills to the floor that don't have the votes. And so she's pulled that bill today. Maybe it will be voted on by the end of the week. But then there's the larger, what people call reconciliation bill, and what we Republicans call the reckless tax and spending bill. It's not $3.5 trillion, it's $4.2 trillion. And I would just hope that that would not take place. If my Democrat friends would take my advice, which they're not about to do, they would realize that nobody got a mandate in November of 2020. The American people voted for a Democratic president in a very close vote. 3 or 4 states, 10,000 votes here, 9,000 there. The result would have been different. And they gave Nancy Pelosi, a speaker, a 4-vote margin in the House of Representatives. A tie, a 50-50 tie, with Vice President Harris breaking the tie in the Senate. That is not a mandate to do much. I really wish that this president and our Democratic colleagues who control narrowly the House and Senate would simply leave the Trump tax cuts in place. Let this economy take off again. Leave that burden off of guys and gals out there who are in a business, who want to create jobs and make this economy better. If they would do that, we would, I think, see quite a recovery. If they don't do that, and if they spend the money that they say they intend to, we're going to have worse inflation than we have now. Lastly, FAA reauthorization is coming up year after next. It'll be here before you know it. And we will be talking about a number of the new issues. If I can give you advice to you on that issue. If industry people and labor people and all the people with a stake, all the stakeholders on FAA reauthorization, if you would come together and try to iron out your differences in a boardroom or in a negotiation room, I really think it would be better. It's awfully hard for us to know the minutia of the details, like people like you who are actually doing it every day. So I would make that recommendation to you. But let me just leave it with that and say that I am a friend of contract towers. I'm a friend of EAS. I'm a friend of regional airlines, and this country would be far, far different if we didn't have you. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. There being no questions. Oh, okay.
I couldn't agree more. So thank you for that. We can see more of that. And I also want to recognize the staff and Mike Reynolds. And these two individuals work all night, overnight to help get that through. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what she's saying. She says, I'm one of the most capable members of the Senate that she's ever known in her lifetime. She was pointing out Mike Reynolds and James Maisel, who really are, they know these issues through and through. And she was given a nice shout out to the people who are smart enough to get the words down on the paper to do what we tried to tell the agencies to do. So please do give Mike and James. And yes, we had maybe 2 votes against the CARES Act in the House. No votes against it in the Senate. When the ox was in the ditch for America, we did come together. And I'm glad that we came together on the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Most of my Republican brothers and sisters voted no. I guess maybe 30 or so voted no, and 18 or 19 of us supported it. But it was a bipartisan bill. And to me, it's paid for, and growth will help pay for it. If you want to grow the economy, make your roads, bridges, railroads, airports, ports, and flood control better, and you will grow this economy. And then quite a bit of that infrastructure bill is broadband to make sure the digital divide is eliminated in the United States. So I appreciate you once again giving me an opportunity to say a word for bipartisanship, and thank you. They are just representative of the great staff I have. So, well, folks, thank you very much, and I hope you have a great conference. Thank you. Thank you, sir.